Deep in the humid heart of the Amazon rainforest, where the air buzzes with life and the sunlight filters through thick canopies, a small drama was unfolding, one that would soon become a legendary rescue story. It began one ordinary morning when Miguel Santos, a local wildlife ranger, set out for his routine patrol along the edge of the Madre de Dios River. He had no idea that by the end of that day, he would risk his life to save an innocent creature from a furious swarm of millions of bees. Miguel had worked as a ranger for nearly 15 years. He had seen jaguars, snakes, and even crocodiles up close, but nothing prepared him for what he was about to encounter that afternoon. The forest was unusually silent that day. No monkeys calling, no parrots screeching, no frogs croaking. It was as if nature itself was holding its breath. Then, from a distance, Miguel heard it, a desperate cry. It wasn't human. It was the sound of pain, fear, and struggle. His instincts kicked in immediately. He grabbed his machete, pushed through the thick vines, and followed the sound. As he drew closer, the air became thick with a low, vibrating hum. Soon, he realized it was the unmistakable sound of bees, not dozens, not hundreds, but millions of them. When he finally broke through the foliage, the sight before him was heartbreaking. A large South American tapir, a shy and gentle creature, was trapped in a muddy pit. The poor animal was covered in bees, its dark skin almost invisible beneath the moving cloud of angry insects. The tapir was thrashing helplessly, its eyes wide with terror. The mud around it was splattered with honeycombs. Apparently, the animal had accidentally stepped on a wild beehive hidden beneath the soil, disturbing the colony. The bees were attacking mercilessly, defending their hive with blind rage. Miguel knew he had seconds to decide. The bees were too many for him to approach directly, and the tapir wouldn't last long under the relentless assault. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but his heart refused to abandon the creature. He quickly took out his satchel and pulled out his old ranger jacket, thick leather, worn from years of use. He wrapped it around his head and upper body, leaving only his eyes exposed. Then he lit a bundle of dry leaves and bark with his lighter, creating thick smoke. Bees hated smoke. It disoriented them, confused their sense of attack. Holding the smoldering bundle in one hand and his machete in the other, Miguel moved forward through the swarm. The bees immediately swarmed around him, stinging his hands, his neck, even through the jacket. The pain was sharp and hot, but Miguel pressed on. He waved the smoking bundle in circles, creating a wall of haze around him and the struggling tapir. Slowly, the bees began to back off, retreating toward the trees. But there were still too many. Miguel realized he couldn't free the tapir with his bare hands. The animal was trapped deep in mud. He spotted a long fallen branch nearby. Using it as a lever, he dug around the tapir's body, giving it space to move. The animal, exhausted and terrified, let out another cry. Miguel spoke softly, his voice trembling but steady. "Easy now, my friend, we'll get you out." Minutes passed like hours. Sweat and blood mixed on his skin as the bees continued to sting him, but Miguel didn't stop. Finally, with one last push from his branch and one desperate heave from the tapir, the animal managed to lift itself out of the pit. It stumbled forward, collapsing onto firmer ground. Miguel stepped back, gasping for breath, his vision blurry. The tapir looked at him, its small, dark eyes filled with confusion and gratitude. Then, with a slow, heavy motion, it turned and disappeared into the jungle's shadows. Safe once again, the bees, now calmer, returned to their damaged hive. The forest seemed to exhale. Birds began to sing again, and the distant rustle of leaves resumed. Miguel sank to the ground, exhausted, covered in stings, mud, and smoke. His arms burned, but his heart felt light. He smiled faintly, whispering to himself, "You're free now." By the time his fellow rangers found him hours later, Miguel was weak but alive. They rushed him to the nearest village clinic, where he was treated for dozens of stings. When he woke up the next morning, his first question wasn't about his health but about the tapir. "Did anyone see her?" he asked. The villagers smiled and told him that the animal had been spotted near the river the next morning, drinking water and moving without injury. The news brought tears to Miguel's eyes. His pain didn't matter anymore. He had done what he was meant to do, protect the innocent, no matter the cost. Word of the incident spread quickly through nearby towns and eventually across the country. Newspapers called him the hero of the jungle. Wildlife organizations praised his bravery and compassion. When asked why he risked his life for an animal, Miguel simply said, "Every creature deserves a chance to live. The forest protects us, it's our duty to protect it back." Months later, when Miguel returned to the same area on patrol, he found signs of the same tapir, fresh tracks and chewed leaves near the riverbank. He smiled, knowing his friend was still alive somewhere in that vast wilderness. He stood silently for a while, listening to the soft hum of the bees nearby, not as enemies now, but as reminders of that day when courage met compassion in the heart of the Amazon. Conclusion: the story of Miguel and the tapir is more than just an account of a daring rescue. It's a powerful reminder of humanity's deep connection to nature, how courage and kindness can bridge the gap between species. In a world where humans often destroy more than they save, Miguel's act stands as a beacon of selflessness. He didn't wear a cape or command a crowd, but in that forest, surrounded by millions of bees, he was a true hero, the kind the world desperately needs.